What's good, y'all? Rich Sosa back in a building with another banger. Now, first things first, before we go ahead and get started today, I gotta go ahead and say thank God for another day and another opportunity. And as y'all can see from the looks of the title and the screen, today I got a very special build in store for y'all. Now, this one is gonna be the first ever shot creating 3-level acrobat, and this build is going to be the best Kyrie Irving build that you can possibly make in NBA 2K24 on next gen. Now, this is going to be one of the best finishers on the inside today, especially with what this build can do with the Hall of Fame badges. The ones that we're able to get are going to be Fearless Finisher, Giant Slayer, Pro Touch, Slithery, Acrobat, Bunny, Float Game, Scooper, Spin Cycle, and that is really just to start with this build. Now, we get a total of at least 13 Hall of Fame badges, and as for our animations, we're going to be getting a 100 plus when it comes to our close shot, driving layup and mid-range, 3-pointer, ball handle, speed with ball and stamina with a 90 plus acceleration. Now, I made sure that I was going back and forth in the builder, reaching certain minimums and thresholds to get certain badges and animations unlocked. And I think this build today is the best finisher on the inside at the height of 6'1" that you can make. Now look, before we get any further into this video, if it's your first time coming through, be sure to hit that sub button if you're new, smash that like button, turn on post notifications to be a part of the Rich family, and last but definitely not least, comment down CG for Thank God King Jesus and where you're tuning in from, and I most definitely will be sure to get back to y'all with the response. So to get started with today's build, the number one thing that we need to do is make sure that we make it under the shooting guard position. Now, as far as for today's height, you gotta go ahead and put this build to 6'1". Now, if you're gonna change anything about this build, make sure that it is not the height. Now, this is really the most important factor. Moving on to our weight, I'm going to go with 197. And then for that wingspan, make sure you drop it 2 ticks to 6'4". And from here, we're all set to move forward and get started with this build. Now, let's go ahead and get into the breakdown of these physicals. So as for our stamina, I'm going to go ahead and put this up to a 96. Moving on to that vertical, I'm going to go with the 60. And then as for when it comes to our strength, I'm going to go ahead and put this up to a 67. Now, for this acceleration, I decided to go ahead and put this up to an 87. And then moving on to our speed, I'm going to go ahead and put this to an 85. Now, this right here will be able to get a boost from our Gatorade facility workouts. Now, look, the numbers are going to read an 89 speed. Also, when it comes to the acceleration, a 91, 71 strength, 64 vertical, with a 100 plus stamina like I promised y'all. Now, this is really just to start with today's build, but as far as for the physical end, you're really off to a great start to move forward. Now, when it comes to our finishing, let's get started with the close shot. So go ahead and put this rating up to an 80. As for when it comes to our driving layup, I'm going to go with the 97. And this right here is going to allow us to get a majority of the badges that we can get for the finishing unlocked. Now, I will be sure to go into detail once we get this build to 99 overall. As for when it comes to the shooting, I'm going to go ahead and put my mid-range. It would only be wrong not to go with a 90 just to make it exactly like Kyrie. Now, moving on to that 3-point shot, I'm going to go ahead and put this up to an 86. And then to wrap everything up for this end, I'm going to go with a 71 free throw. Now, for this build, not only are you going to be one of the best finishers on the inside, but from the shooting end, not only can you hit from deep, but you're a real threat from the mid-range, especially with this high 90 rating. Now, for the free throw, the minimum threshold that I like for any build is going to be a 71 if I'm taking it into the rec. Now, moving on to the pass accuracy, the playmaking end, I'm telling y'all, this is going to be one of the best suits of this build. Now, for the playmaking end, you can adjust this number on the pass accuracy, so I'm going to go ahead and put this all the way up to a 65. Now, moving on to the ball handle, I'm going to go ahead and put this to a 93. And then finally, for our speed with ball, I'm going to go with an 85. Now look, if you want to go higher on the pass accuracy, you definitely can do so. I saved the rest of our attributes for the defensive end. And if you want to take a little bit off of the speed with ball, I can definitely see that route as well. But I think it's crucial to maintain the rest of the build as I created. So when it comes to this perimeter defense, I'm going to go ahead and put it either to a 73 or a 72. Now it really comes down to your personal preference and play style. What I personally think is going to be best, if you do end up going with a 73 perimeter defense, make sure you put the last tick into our free throw or possibly the stamina, but this is what the build is going to be looking like. So as for badges, look, we get ones like Fearless Finisher, also Gold Spot Finder, Whistle, even getting Fast Twitch out of this build, and also we're going to be able to get Slithery, Acrobat, even Bunny and Float Game, Scooper, everything you need to be effective with this build. Now, especially with the upgraded layup mechanics this year, I think this is going to be one of the funnest builds to use for driving. Now, when it comes to our shooting end, I think you have everything and more needed to be effective. This build truly does remind me of IRVING, especially when you look at the badge layout. It has everything to be just like his own playstyle. Now, my favorite thing about today's build is definitely going to be the versatility from the defense to the offensive end. Not only because you are a 6-1 build, but I think this is one that you can take into any game mode and really find success with. Now, if you're looking to be more of an offensive build, this is going to be the one for you. The badges that I do like for the playmaking end are going to be like Handles for Days. We also get Blow By, Speed Booster with Ankle Breaker. Now, physical handles on this kind of build, I'm telling y'all, it's going to make a huge difference. And I think this will allow us to play even more like IRVING. Now, other badges that I'm also looking at, I really do like Speed Booster with Triple Strike. And then for the defense to wrap everything up, we have the minimum threshold to get badges like Ankle Braces, Challenger, Fast Feet if you want to go the extra route to try to get this rating up to a 75 to unlock clamps. That's really something that I can see considerable. Now let me know down below, what do y'all think about today's build creation? Are you going to be creating it exactly how I brought it to y'all, or remake it to your own liking? As far as for being a finisher, I don't think it can get much better. Now look, let's go ahead and move forward to make sure that we made the build correctly. And if you took every single step of the way as I showed y'all, we should be getting these 3 comparisons. And as y'all can see, together, we have created the shot creating 3-level threat build, which is also known as the 3-level acrobat in NBA 2K24 on next gen. Now we also will be able to get that Kyrie Irving comparison. Jason Terry, a lot of things went into this build, and I just want to let y'all know, thank you for the support, and more so than anything, thank God for another day and another opportunity. Now look, if you made it exactly how I brought it to y'all, consider this. The takeover boost that you get, which is at least a +10, buying your own boost, which is another +4, and then on top of that, depending on which kind of gear you wear, that's still another boost added. So everything should be taken into account. You definitely have the potential to get a 99 for the finishing. Same thing when it comes to our shooting for the mid-range and 3-pointer. I like the same ratings for the ball handle and the speed with ball. And I think that perimeter defense definitely has the potential to get into the 80s. Now look, before we get out of here, if it was your first time coming through, be sure to hit that sub button if you're new. Smash that like button. Turn on post notifications to be a part of the rich family. And last but definitely not least, comment down TG for Thank God King Jesus and where you're tuning in from. And I most definitely will be sure to get back to y'all with a response. And with all that being said though, I got one last thing to say. Rich out.